Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah.
Waalaikumsalam.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wa bihi nasta'in. Wa ala umuri dunya wa salatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi was Honorable Dean of the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Muhammadiyah Surabaya, Dr. Ratno Abidin MD. Honorable Vice Dean and Teacher Training and Education, and Dr. Wijayadi MPD. Honorable Keynote Speaker for Public Lecture School Teacher Education Program, University of Muhammadiyah Surabaya, Mr. Leonardo D. Tejano, AED. Honorable Head of the Study Elementary School Teacher Education Program, University of Muhammadiyah Surabaya, Ms. Lili Binti, SPDI MPD. And honorable all of lecture PGSD program, all students, and of course, all invited guests. First of all, let's to our God, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the most gracious, the most merciful, the creator and sustainer of the universe, who has given us abundant blessing on health, safety, and opportunity so that we can attend this event in good health. Salawat and salam will be given to our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, of Allah, who has guided human life from the distraction into the right way of Islam. Today, Elementary School Teacher Education Program, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, University of Muhammadiyah Surabaya, present an extraordinary inspirational event for teachers, students, and and education others, namely public lecture with the theme Research and Development Based on Local Wisdom in Elementary School Studies. As the host will read out the agenda in this morning. The first agenda is opening. Second, reading out the Holy Quran. Third, singing the national anthem Indonesia Raya and Mars Muhammadiyah. Fourth, welcome speech. And the fifth, explanation of materials, and the last closing. The first program is the opening. Let us open this program by reading Basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The second program is the recitation of the Holy Quran. Welcome to Sister Nurtudah. Time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Innal ladzina amanu wal ladzina hadu nasara was-sabiina man amana billahi wal yawmil akhir wa amila salihan falahum ajruhum 'inda rabbihim la khaufun 'alaihim wa la hum yahzanun. Wa idh akhadna mitsaqakum wa rafa'na fawqakumut tur khudhu ma atainakum biquwwatin warahmatuhu lakuntum minal khasirin. ولقد علمتم الذين اعتدوا منكم في السبت فقلنا لهم قردة خاسئين فجعلناها نكالا لما بين يديها وما خلفها وموعظة للمتقين. Shadaqallahul azim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Sadaqallahul azim. Wassadaqa ala rasulihin nabihil karim. Wa nahnu ala dhalika minasyahidin wa syakirin. Thank you. I hope that reading the Holy Quran can provide great benefits for all of us. Amin. Singing Muhammadiyah. Participants, hope and well. The fourth agenda, welcome speech. First, welcome speech will be represented by the head of the Study Elementary School Teacher Education Program, University of Muhammadiyah, Surabaya, Miss Lili Binti Mirnawati, SPDI MPD. Time is yours.
Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa bihi nasta'in. Wa ala umuri dunya wa din. Wa salatu wa salam asrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'du. Honorable Dean of the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, University of Muhammadiyah, Surabaya, Dr. Ratno Abidin, MPD, the Honorable Vice Dean of the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, University of Muhammadiyah, Surabaya, Ms. Endang Suprapti, MPD, and Dr. Wijayadi, MPD. Honorable keynote speaker for public teacher of elementary school teacher education program, University of Muhammadiyah, Surabaya, that has joined in this morning, Mr. Leonardo D. Tejano, MAID. So, the Honorable all of head of the study program, FKIP, University of Muhammadiyah, Surabaya, that has joined this area, and Honorable all of lecture PGSD program and all committed student and all of all invited guests that has joined in this program. First of all, let's praise to our God, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, gracious, the most merciful, the creator and sustainer of the universe, who has given us a blessing on health, safety, and opportunity, so that we can attend this event in good health. Amin. Salawat and salam will be upon to our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the last messenger of Allah who has guided human life from the destruction into the right way of Islam. Before it, I'm sorry because my English language is good. So please allow me to use Indonesian language on this section. Mohon maaf, mohon izin karena bahasa Inggris saya kurang bagus. Mr. Leonardo, mohon izin saya menggunakan bahasa Indonesia pada kesempatan ini. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Hari ini Prodi PGSD UM Surabaya dapat melaksanakan yang for place di mungkin artinya mengintegrasikan, terpelihara dan dilaksanakan sejak ribuan tahun dalam masyarakat, ya kan? Kemudian kearifan lokal di setiap daerah memiliki spesifik dan pendekatan yang berbeda. Nah, beberapa kearifan lokal sangat tepat dikenalkan dan ditanamkan melalui pendidikan, di mana pendidikan dengan tujuan dan kompetensi yang jelas untuk setiap mata pelajaran dapat diintegrasikan dengan nilai-nilai kearifan lokal yang sesuai agar tujuan pembelajaran mudah dicapai serta kearifan lokal itu dapat terus diwariskan kepada generasi berikutnya. Dengan adanya kegiatan kuliah umum pada pagi hari ini sampai siang hari ya, diharapkan akan memberikan tambahan ilmu ke kita dari pemaparan Leonard terkait dengan integrasi kearifan lokal khususnya di Asia ya. Jadi kita keluar dari lingkup negara kita Indonesia di sini. Jadi kita nanti juga bisa belajar terkait dengan kearifan lokal non-Indonesian atau di luar Indonesia. Baik, mungkin itu saja. Semoga kegiatan kuliah umum hari ini dapat berjalan dengan lancar, sukses. Cukup dari saya. Kurang lebihnya mohon maaf. Akhiran wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much for the welcome speech. The second welcome speech will be represented by Vice Dean of the Faculty of Teaching and Education, University of Muhammadiyah Surabaya, Dr. Andes Wijayadi, MPD, as well as opening the public lecture in this morning. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. MC. First of all, I would like to greet Mr. Leonardo Di Tejano from Philippines. Thank you very much for joining this Studium Generale. And I'll start with this statement. The sun shines so brightly, matahari bersinar begitu cerah, secerah wajah para mahasiswa-mahasiswa yang ganteng-ganteng dan cantik-cantik ini. Okay, based on the topic that was given by me, by Pak Ratno, to me, the topic of this Studium Generale is research and development based on the ethnocentrism in elementary school. Well, it is very interesting, everybody, because in this Studium Generale, we have two important variables. The first is R&D. There are two scientists that developed this theory. The first book and the second is called. They have 10 steps or 10 stages in conducting R&D. And then the second one is ethnocentrism. It was coined by very great sociology scientist. Her name is William Graham Summer in 1906, I think. Well, as we know that Indonesia consists of many ethnics, or Javanese, Sundanese, Balinese, Batakis, etc. And they have their own characteristic. It is kind of Indonesian dream. Several years ago, we have a slogan, Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, for example. Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. It is similar with the United States of America. Several years ago, long time ago, United States of America also had a slogan, E pluribus unum. Pluribus is plural, many. Unum is one, many into one. And Indonesia is also Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. Banyak, tapi menjadi ika, menjadi satu. Many become one. It is a dream. Has the dream come true? No. In the context of ethnic, it is impossible to blend many ethnic into one. But sebagai spirit kebangsaan itu bisa ya menjadi satu. Spirit dalam pendidikan juga bisa menjadi satu semangat begitu ya. Baik, because we have a very well-known guest from Philippines, and then Mr. Tejano, not Tejano, I think Mr. Tejano will the integrating local wisdom for cultural sensitivity and decolonized elementary education. It is very interesting because as a prospective teacher, as calon guru, prospective teachers, yeah, Bu Lili and friend, Bu Lili, and also all lecturers from elementary school study program, Bu Mirsa, Bu Badrul, my great friend, yeah, they are very great and they are willing to it is called to equip, to provide you very interesting and very useful knowledge about this one about ethnocentrism, about the integrating local wisdom for cultural sensitivity and decolonized elementary education. Oh, it is very interesting. Jadi nanti calon guru PGSD akan mampu atau memiliki bekal sehingga mereka bisa menulari atau memberi value of very important local wisdom. Okay, I think it is enough from me. Have nice. It is called generally, studium generale, and then I hope all of participants will enjoy, will observe the knowledge from Mr. Tejano from Philippines. Okay, thank you very much. I think it is enough from me. By reciting Basmalah, this general studium general. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This is the welcome speech by Vice Dean of the Faculty of Teaching and Education, University of Muhammadiyah, Surabaya. The next session is take a virtual photo together. For all participants, attendees are requested to turn on their camera. Mengingatkan kembali kepada peserta Zoom untuk membuka kameranya untuk menyelenggarakan foto bersama. Before the next session, to the main event, there were several announcements from the head of the committee, Ms. Holly Jawahyuni, SPG MSI. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for the host. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Honorable the Vice Dean
Waalaikumsalam
of Faculty Teacher and Training, Namati, Honorable the all of invite guests, and of course all students. Okay, I have announcement, and I will explain to output test from this public lecture in Indonesia. Jadi pada kesempatan yang berbahagia ini saya akan mengumumkan beberapa luaran tugas dari kuliah umum ini. Jadi nanti mahasiswa diharapkan atau memiliki sebuah tugas. Langkah-langkahnya sebagai berikut. Jadi kita nanti dari panitia akan nge-share template di kolom chat. Jadi silahkan unduh template tersebut di kolom chat sesaat sebelum materi disampaikan oleh Mr. Leonardo. Nah, apa yang menjadi tugas mahasiswa? Di template tersebut sudah tersedia bagaimana nanti mahasiswa bisa meresum atau membuat resum dari materi ini. Jadi mohon dengan baik materi yang temanya cukup bagus ya dari Mr. Leonard, sangat bagus dan relevan dengan PGSD terutama. Nah, kemudian tugas ini nantinya akan dikumpulkan 12 waktu Indonesia Barat. Jadi setelah acara ini usai. Nah, pengumuman yang tidak kalah penting adalah di akhir sesi nanti mahasiswa silahkan mengisi form monitoring dan evaluasi serta kehadiran atau presensi. Nah, nanti pengisian munaf dan pengumpulan tugas itu akan menjadi syarat bagi mahasiswa untuk mendapatkan sertifikat dari kegiatan ini. Gitu. Saya PGSD besok pada tanggal 14 Juni 2022. Dan pengumpulan tugasnya juga akan di-share link Google Drive untuk pengumpulan tugas. Saya rasa sudah cukup jelas. Itu saja mungkin pengumuman dari saya. Terima kasih dan selamat belajar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
At the of the public lecture, the speaker will be conveyed by Mr. Leonardo D. Tejano, MAED from Maricon, and which will be guided by Ms. Matane SSIMD. And the substantiation of public lecture today will be talk about interrogating local wisdom for culturally sensitive and decolonized elementary education, empowering learners in ASEAN context.
Thank you, Asmaul. Morning, our dearest participants and our today's keynote speaker, Mr. Leonardo da Coya Tejano. Welcome to the lecture of Elementary Teacher Education Program, Muhammadiyah University of Surabaya. Are you here, sir? Sorry, I cannot see you.
Yes, good morning. I am here.
Okay, thank you. This public lecture, or Stadium Generali, is our annual program, and this time we will talking about research and development based on ethnocentrism in elementary studies, with the topic integrating local wisdom for culturally sensitive and decolonized elementary education, empowering learners in Asian context. My name is Ismatunaila. I'm here as the moderator. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if we are talking about ethnocentrism in education, it will be unfinished discussion. Starting from the cons, there are some people who think of it as racist, especially minorities, but there are also many who are pro, especially Asians or other countries that are rich in culture, language, ethnicity, and certain groups. So for today, we'll limit the topic specifically within the context of the Ilocano and Amianan people in the Philippine educational system. This will be fascinating because we can learn about specific culture in the Philippines and their practice in learning. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, in this great opportunity, we have Mr. Tejano here. How are you, sir?
Hi, everyone. I'm fine, although it's stormy here in the Philippines, particularly here in the north.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. I hope the weather will be fine, sir, until for today. We appreciate you taking the time to share with us, sir. Let me introduce him first. Mr. Leonardo da Coya Tejano is an esteemed instructional faculty member at Mariano Marcos State University and is currently pursuing a Doctor of Philosophy in Indigenous Studies at the University of the Philippines. His teaching responsibility encompasses the elementary level at the University Laboratory School, major and professional education courses within the College of Teacher Education, and courses within the graduate schools, Master of Arts and in Education, Ilocano Studies Program. For your information, this program is the world's first and only dedicated to the graduate study of a specific ethno-linguistic group, emphasizing the importance of Ilocano culture. Tejano's research interests revolve around language education, mother tongue-based multilingual education, special education, cultural education, Ilocano and Amianan studies, and indigenous studies. Due to his expertise, he frequently received invitations to serve as a trainer and speaker at local and national seminars, workshops, trainings, and conferences. As a writer, Tejano has had his poems published in Banawak, a popular magazine in the Ilocano language, as well as in Liwewe, a prominent magazine in Tagalog language. His articles have also been featured by Rappler, a leading digital media company in the Philippines. Tejanos contributed to a group effort in creating a textbook on content and pedagogy for MTB MLE, further showcasing his dedication to promote effective teaching practices. Currently, Tejano holds the position of head of the University Center for Iloco and Amianan Studies. In this role, he spearheads initiatives on utilization, development, and management of Ilocano and Northern Luzon knowledge, affirming his authority in the field. Your experience at such an age, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we start here lecture, let me inform you that this lecture will be in an hour and be followed by question and answer session for 30 minutes. During the presentation, you may drop your question in the chat box. Without further ado, let's moving along to our session. Please welcome Mr. Tejano.
Yeah. Allowed now to share my screen.
Yes, please.
I mean my map. Thank you. Oh, I hope you can see it now, and also my audio is clear.
It's clear. It's all clear.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, good morning, everyone. It's a stormy day here in the Philippines, and some parts of our place here is flooding. Again, it's a natural phenomenon in in a developing country. And again, may I first recognize the following individuals who made this lecture possible. I am constantly communicating from Dana Ishan, the director of your international office partnership. Thank you very much for making this possible. Also to the Dean of the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Dr. Ratmo Abidin. Also to some these individuals, but I hope to get the titles of these individuals because I basing on their messages earlier. They're very intellectual people. Dr. Lilik Binti, Mirnawati, and Dr. Wijayida. I am very impressed with Dr. Wijayida because I am now questioning myself. I am really deserving to give you this lecture because I think Dr. Wijayida can already give a lecture for this topic. However, may I now share the Philippine experience, particularly the Ilocano and Damianan experience. You gave me a very good and a very nice topic to discuss. research in elementary education studies, when we reach the communication, when that communication reached the university, we're all talking because we did not, we are still realizing of elementary education studies. We have a department for elementary education, but this is more integrated, more, or it's cutting across disciplines. But for you now, you are now centering it, and I am very glad to be part of this, be part of this public lecture. Now, as for my contribution, I know I again I am not because we always embrace the value of being humble. That is why I titled my presentation based on what I know, and this is now integrating local wisdom for culturally sensitive and decolonized elementary education, empowering learners in Asian contexts. May I start by providing you the objective of this lecture. First is to provide you with an overview of the concept of local wisdom and of course its significance to elementary education. Also, we will be examining the process of decolonizing elementary education. Why do we have to decolonize elementary education? And number two, challenge, or why should we challenge ethnocentric paradigms? Number three, to explore the importance of cultural sensitivity and meeting the local needs in Asian elementary schools. Although I accept that I will be having some limitations in discussing Asian elementary schools, number one, because of experience. Number two, discussing Asia as a whole is a very tedious task because Asia is the biggest continent in the world. Number four, to discuss key initiatives in the Philippine educational system, such as the K-12 curriculum, the mother tongue-based multilingual education, which is an area that I'm very passionate about, and also, of course, indigenous people's education. Number five, to showcase the empowerment of learners through integration of local wisdom, including in creation of culturally responsive and inclusive learning environments, fostering connections to cultural heritage, and promoting holistic development. So here I will be presenting some of the projects that I am doing and also numbers to emphasize this transformative potential of research and development based on local wisdom in elementary school studies, examining its benefits, its outcomes, and its implications for educators, policymakers, and researchers, because we do not want caution for today. Will just be um, hanging there in our Google Drive or in our Zoom recording or in YouTube, for example. So these are the objectives of our lecture for today. May I start first with providing you with my positionality or motivations, where I am. It is my practice as an Ilocano scholar to present myself first before discussing several topics, because when we will be discussing topics, the possibility is I will be discussing it through another lens or through another theory or through another principle. But here I am bringing my own position. Number one, I am a son of two ethno-linguistic groups. I think this is one similarity of Indonesia and Philippines, that we have numerous ethno-linguistic groups. For me, I am a son of an Ilocano from the northernmost part of the Philippines, if you can see the red mark there, and also a Visaya from Leyte, if you can also see um, the red mark at the central part of the Philippines. This is a common love story in the Philippines, that people from different ethno-linguistic groups will be rushing to the center of the country where they can see or perceive it as the key to their success, the key to their economic success. That is why my father, again, this is the typical love story in the Philippines of two lovers from two different ethno-linguistic groups. That two love, one from the northernmost part of the country, then the central part of the country, met in Manila. You can see there Manila to work, and I do not know if that is really their plan. And we were raised there. And we were raised there as, I do not know, but different from what I am right now. Because we were raised in a totally enclosed, shall I say enclosed, um, atmosphere or ecosystem. That what I know about the Philippines is it's only one. Dr. Wijayida talk about the pluribus unum of the United States. So that we also have that kind of spirit in the Philippines, that when you were born, or if your world is really in just the center of the country in Manila, your idea of the whole Philippines is you're only one and you do not have any any person, any groups around you. The Philippines is colonized by Spaniards, Americans, and Japanese. And I know that you in Indonesia also share or also have that history of colonization. That is the possible reason why we have that homogenization in the Philippines. A faulty framework, should I say, a faulty framework for nation building. Later on, I will be talking about the framework that they look for after the liberation. They look for they went to this country and find for a framework for a nation building. And what they found and what they copied is something that will not create a very diverse country just like the Philippines. Although I am not saying that we are not working towards it. We are working toward embracing our diversity, and that is a very good development. May I also express my appreciation for your opening program. You're very much rooted to your ethnicity, to your religion. In our university, although we are a university in a northern in an Ilocano region, I am always looking for a program, an opening program that is really rooted to our Ilocano-ness. I can find some, opening program with such spills using Ilocano language, but not as elaborate as yours. That is why I was imagining yesterday or last night the kind of opening program or the kind of program that you will be having today. And this is not what I imagined, and what we have right now is really more beautiful and more elegant. And really I am very how should I say this? I'm really full of gratitude again for this invitation. Again, we have 187 languages in the Philippines, but only one is of official status as a national language. This is a very controversial topic in the Philippines, particularly now, and we will be discussing that earlier, because through times the effort of the government, the effort of the country is focused only on these languages, and most of our languages are language of prestige, status, for not having a good English. We do not have to apologize for that, especially that we're languages than those who are than those who only know English. That is why we our own language that can serve our community. And also, I am trying again. I have some background in linguistics. That's why I am trying to patch in whatever language or vocabulary that I know that will give me the idea what is the meaning of this sentence. Because um we have to acknowledge we're neighbors. We are not just neighbors. Our languages are part of a family, the Austronesian language family. That is why um we have similarities. Also, there is an experience in the Philippines which is on the marginalization of non-mainstream group of people or peoples. This may refer to indigenous peoples. I do not know, and I still have to read more about how do you consider your other groups there in Indonesia, if you call them indigenous peoples, or and what are the parameters about on that, and also the ethnic group from provinces. When you will be looking into looking into the symbols of the Philippines, most of the time these are centered on the s- the Manila, and we are neglecting the other parts of the country. Remember that some of our Filipinos in Mindanao are also families or relatives of you there in Indonesia, and we have to recognize that. That is why I'm trying to relate this from our history of colonization, that there's something happened in our past that really mark that really affected our lives, our education. Okay. I listed some words, maybe how do you say this? I listed here some words, and you can turn on your microphone if you want to answer, or you can just type in your answer if we have really the same understanding of it. I hope you're ready. Let's try if we can understand this word. Number one is aso. What is aso in your language? Aso.
Also, I don't think we have that kind of word, sir.
Okay. Okay, so maybe we can have this game later on. Um, how about in NEM? Again, this is just an experiment. I'm just trying to see if we have some relations in NEM.
We don't know it, sir.
We don't know. Or for example, guess whatever. In NEM is six in our language.
Oh,
Is it not the same or
oh,
something
enam,
similar to your
enam, enam. In Indonesian, we call it enam, sir.
for number
Enam,
six?
yes.
Oh. Ah,
6, yes.
yes. How about for mata?
For mata,
Mata.
mata,
Eye. So
mata,
we
iya, sama-sama, iya.
so we also mangan.
Oh, it,
Mangan. Eat. So
yes.
we also again we're the same. Mangan is also eat in Ilocano.
Oh,
Yes, in Ilocano. But in the
yes.
language that they are using in Manila, it's Tagalog. To eat is kain. Do you have a, do you have a word kain?
No, no, no.
No. I
No.
I I I do not. We're in the northernmost part of the country. You're in I mean you're in the lower portion of the country. I mean, if you will refer to the map, but we have this similarity in language. Baboy, what's do you have the word baboy in your
Baboy, no. Maybe in other culture because I'm Javanese.
Mhm.
Yes, I'm Javanese, so I just know Javanese. Maybe in Sunda or in Bukit or other
Oh. But
Yes.
baboy is pig for us.
Oh, babi. We call
Yeah,
babi.
babi.
Yes.
Yes, because Y and I sometimes interchanging in our Austronesian languages. So
Oh,
much for this more of presenting myself. Again, this is my position. I'm coming from the position of I want to trace our problems from our experience of being colonized, and also I am trying to root the solution from our connections as neighbors in Asia. Sister, if you have questions, or for example my internet is not good, you can just uh I mean stop, because I can see when I am presenting my PowerPoint. But this is the framework of this lecture. I will be starting on talking about local wisdom. Again, because in the context of the Philippines, this is very complicated, and we have other terms for this. Also, its significance to elementary education. Why should we recognize local wisdom in the context of elementary education? Then from this from looking into the relevance of local wisdom and elementary education, I will be bringing you to the idea of decolonization, and also later on the idea that when we decolonize ourselves, when we go back or look back to our cultural background, we can be able to meet the local needs, the needs of our communities, the immediate needs of our peoples. And I will be presenting that through giving you some key initiatives in the Philippine educational system. Although I am not saying that the Philippine educational system is perfect. We all know that there's no such thing as a perfect system. It's always a working system. And how can this decolonization and meeting the local needs will empower our learners? Then later on, we'll be talking about ribbons and reflection in the context of the tertiary level college or university. We will be doing more research, and as teachers, we will be conducting researches in our classroom, or we want to have a data-driven decision or driven decisions in our classroom. That idea or we do not have that experience of being a settler or the settler colonialism. If you're familiar of settler colonialism, for example, the colonizers went to a place, then they push away these people so that they can live and settle on that place. We were colonized by these colonizers of ours because of our labors. That is why if we will be considering um indigenous as someone who is really on that place from then, we can say that everybody is indigenous. However, in the context, we call indigenous peoples those groups or peoples who chose to maintain lives, not being afflicted of by the systems of the colonizers. So they kept their cultures. That is why in the context of the Philippines, indigenous peoples are those who kept themselves or kept their cultures and traditions intact. Although we can say that this is also evolving, because that is the nature of our lives, of our society. We also have here the term traditional knowledge. So indigenous knowledge is the knowledge from them. For example, here in the Philippines, or northern Luzon, uh most of our indigenous peoples are in the Cordillera, or in the Baguio, or the Igorot, when they call themselves Igorot. and they are still wearing their traditional attire. They're still doing their rituals. They're still doing their uh what heritage tradition. Now we have here traditional knowledge. If we say traditional knowledge, again, we are not being divorced to the space and time that's changing. So traditional knowledge, the knowledge that you are doing in the community, it's evolving because it's there at the end of the different necessity. Now we will be centering on the local wisdom, also community or traditional ecological knowledge that refers to the knowledge and practices developed and used by local communities living in specific geographic areas. It can be an indigenous knowledge, meaning from this group who kept and protected their cultures, or the traditional knowledge. For example, our later on you will see pictures on my projects on um weaving. For example, the weaving industry really boomed in the Philippines during the time of the Spaniards, because they want our work, they want our labor, they want our textile to be transported in their country. So that is traditional knowledge. But for local wisdom, it is more general, that it can be on indigenous knowledge, it can be on the traditional knowledge. And that is what we are trying to use now in the context of elementary education. Now, I have here a quote: local wisdom may be viewed as a culture and community system that produces a character within a culture. So meaning, it will naturally evolve from a community. It will naturally um, go out and be implemented and organize itself within a culture, within a community. Now, my interest of local wisdom started when I was working, or as earlier, I also have a background in special education. Actually, that is my undergraduate degree. So special education, with our communities and schools here for children with special needs. And I was there working within the community in a far-flung community, and I was discussing the special education that I know from the university. I was then discussing the kind of special education, the kind of medical team, the kind of multidisciplinary team that I learned from the university. However, I have this not participant but member of the community who asked me, what is the role of the Durarakit in that multidisciplinary team? Multidisciplinary team refers to that group of specialists, paraprofessionals, and also special education teachers who are now working for the benefit of a child with special needs. But now this member of the community is asked me, what is the role of the Durarakit? You can see the picture here. What is the role of the Durarakit in keeping our children with special needs? Because a Durarakit lead them in healing, lead them in prayers. When they have problems in the community, they will run after the wisdom of that Durarakit. And I ask myself, where is this knowledge coming from? Why is it that I do not know this thing when I came from, I mean, from the university? Or where is this from the books? And if we will be trying to follow the scientific knowledge, or the scientific idea, or the scientific principles, where the doctors or really practitioners will believe in the role of a Durarakit, shaman, for example, a shaman, a snake. And really, this is tested by the community. They use plants tested by times. This Durarakit guide them in making decisions. And why is it that you, Leo, from outside coming here to our place telling the Durarakit of us doesn't have any place in the multidisciplinary team that you are talking about? If before you, she's there helping. This is one about local wisdom really open. Also, this also brought out to writing a paper or a framework and a model for indigenous learners, with disabilities. So this is local wisdom. The knowledge that we have from our community in our culture that is somehow self-organizing us and in making us survive maybe before the time when we were colonized by these people. Now, understanding the local wisdom, again, its relevance, importance of integrating local wisdom in elementary school studies. We all know that the elementary is the first or the basic of our education. And we have this maxim in teaching, from known to unknown. And when we say local wisdom, as I explained earlier, that this is part of our culture, of our community where our children are living, we can say that there is of, and it's easier for you to transfer it to other languages or to other knowledges. We have here some quotation. I got um references from our country. A positive value of local wisdom is identifier of civil society need to preserve Indonesia. So it's identifier that we were able to organize as we in the previous slide. It's organization. It's organizing uh, the wisdom in our community. And we can see here that there's a need to preserve Indonesia because from us, there we here that we are civilized as civilized society, even before those who colonize us. Local wisdom and local knowledge have potential in maintaining, preserving, and sustainability of environments used by communities to meet their living needs. You know, during the pandemic, there is one indigenous community in the Philippines. You know, during the pandemic, most of our communities, most of our barangays, we call our small barangay, our barangays are craving for help or asking for help. This one barangay of indigenous, the northern Luzon, said that no, we do not need your help. We can sustain. We can feed ourselves. We can heal ourselves. And it is because the great use of their local wisdom that they can able to sustain. And we I in the Philippine experience, we close our schools. I do not know if that also happened in Indonesia, and I think the data will say that it's in the Philippines that we closed our school the longest. And we do not know the reason why there, because and I mean during that time, teachers are asking how can we teach our learners. They develop materials that are now in modules, in printed form, in digital form, but again can still be facilitated, or there must still be a teacher who will be facilitating that. And they tried not to ask what then if, for example, um we will try to modify our materials based on the local practices or on the local cultures or the local wisdom. I am also an evaluator of books, and most of the modules that I saw is um they have this module, a printed module, pictures of stars, bananas. I do not know why do I have to buy 350 bananas. They put that or place that in the module, 350 bananas plus this number of bananas. Why do you for example your you're living in a small household, why do you have to buy that kind of number of banana? Why not use the numbers or the materials that children can really count in their own households, that they can really count in their own barangays, or practices that you can find in their community, and maybe we can discover another modality of delivering instruction, also largely driven by empirical experience, that local wisdom is a form of practice and that give better effect to the community is located. Most of the problems here in the community here in the Philippines is when our learners go out from the classroom. Maybe you can talk about this later. When our learners go out of the classroom, most of the time they do not have that support to their learners. And what is the reason why? For example, in the picture that you can see, this is also one of the documentations in the project I am leading. This is now sugar cane wine, but later on it turned to vinegar. So I work on there, and really it's not dying, but a struggling industry. And it is because the community is not involved in the education of the learners. There are only a little schools who are really bringing their learners or their youth to these industries, and cannot say that we are learning, we cannot get learnings from experiences. For example, I personally went there, and from the work that they are doing, you can really see mathematics, you can really see science from fermenting. There's science there. From what you will do with the ingredients. Yes, you're counting, but again, counting to another kind of not the meter, I mean not the meter, the metric system that we are familiar of, but in another way. So this will really have a better effect to the community if they can see that their learners or their children are interested in what they're doing. At the same time, we are not empowering only our learners, but we are also empowering our communities. I asked then there, I am now referring to the picture, if when will it be, when will it become a vinegar? It is a sugar cane juice, then later on it will turn to vinegar in wine. Then later on it will turn to vinegar. I was asking them, what is your basis? But the the whole person there just told me that balancing turns vinegar if it is not seasoned properly, or if it is really for wine, it will become wine. If it is really for vinegar, it will really become vinegar. Again, that may sound as a tautology, or meaning a repetition of word, but we can say that there's wisdom there, and that wisdom maybe is in the taste buds, the hands of those who are making the sugar cane. But the possibility is this person cannot really explain because, again, the hindrances of education, the colonial education that we inherit from our colonial past. And if we integrate local wisdom move for researches for local wisdom to be integrated down in our educate in our the in practice of education, we can help to define to clarify this tautology in the answer of this or base maker, Tata Fernando. Now, I hope you will not be offended on the picture, but again, I will just be about on the picture relevance of local wisdom to the Ilocano and Amyanan peoples in the Philippine context. I did my thesis in my own town, which is Pawai, and this is just part. We have two very famous festival. One is called Guling Guling. This is celebrated um every before the Ash Wednesday. I do not know how to describe Ash Wednesday in our context. It's now the beginning when the cats will remember the death of their God Jesus. Again, this is dead. Again about death. Here now November, we are again celebrating another feast, another festival. That is Tumba Tumba Festival. And that is for the dead. Why is it that this town are fascinated of celebrating festivals for the dead? Our two most famous festivals are for the dead. One is before the death of Christ, and one is the death of our um ancestors or our relatives. You can also see the similarities here. Guling guling is a repetitive is a word from guling is the root word. I do not know if guling sounds meaningful in your language. Guling is the root word. Guling means smearing among Christians. They will um get dash of this palm leaves, and then they will smear it on their head. So repetition. Why is it that they are so fond of repetition? Tumba is the tomb that they're making for this dead ancestors. Right? Why is it that they are fascinated with one celebrating the dead, and number two or death, or number repeating. And also, do you know that the famous game town is also a repetition of word, which is paway. It's paway paway. It when you will be getting a can, or if not a can, that sleeper of your friends, then you will be hitting that sleeper. That's paway paway. When I did my thesis, most of our scholars were saying that paway is from the India, Bombay. They said that. But again, we are recognizing that within us there is wisdom. I look into the deeper definition of paway, and this is paway means to stand, to be independent, to be independent from someone. Maybe because this guling, the smearing, is from our colonizer, the Spaniards. But we have to have our own. That is why we have to have our own guling guling, or the smaller form of that. Because we all know that the church during that time is reserved only for those who have status in their lives, and also the same with this um with these prayers. So we can see here the local wisdom, the importance of local wisdom in the Philippine context. And this is very interdisciplinary, unlike the western definition of disciplines, that it is very divided into sociology, mathematics, science, and other disciplines. This is now the relevance of our local wisdom, so that to our that in our language, in our practices, we can trace ourselves, we can trace our history, we can trace our heritage, and we cannot say that this is not important important in the context of elementary education, because again, I do not know if you're familiar with that commercial, no, advertisement of Samsung. They are saying that, I wrote it here: tradition is the connective tissue that binds individuals. They are sharing, presenting their a technology, of course, because it's Samsung, but with a touch of tradition. And this is way, I mean, this is true, this way, incorporating tradition in their technology, that they are trying to familiarize or sell their products. And maybe this will also, yes, this will really happen into the context of education, that when you will be presenting to our learners something that is familiar to them or fascinating for them, because they here the community, but they can see now this thing in the context of learning or in the classroom. Now, why do we have to decolonize elementary education, or why do we have to challenge uh, Eurocentric paradigms? I'm using the term challenge or critique because we cannot say that everything in Europe was bad. We cannot say that. They also have their, or the minorities in also the same experience as us. In Germany, in Britain, they also have the same experience of colonization. Maybe set colonization, later power in their own country. That is why we have to challenge the Eurocentric paradigms. For example, number one is the introduction of the Western education system. When we work on the banga making, the pottery making, and also um, the basi or sugarcane wine making, we learned from these key informants that they learn these practices not by going to the classroom, not by attending seminar, not by doing workshop, that we are doing right now in the context of Western formal education. They learn these industries through listen to the stories of their young, of their not young, but um of their elders. When they watch their elders, when they listen to songs, they ability of decolonizing our teaching methodologies, that we can, instead of asking our learners to sit down, bid this and just read, we can gather them in a way that they are just telling a story. So we are trying the introduction of the Western